Hello and welcome to episode 5 of A Yarn Tale. My name is Karen and I'm coming to you from Chicago, where I live with my husband, our 3 kids, and our dog Max. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Not Fancy Knitter. That's K-N-O-T Fancy Knitter. Although I'm most active on Instagram, so if you want to drop me a line or check out what's going on over there, that would be great. So hi guys, how have you been? It's been almost 2 weeks since I last podcasted, which is a little bit longer than I was expecting, but life got in the way just a bit. I was actually going to podcast yesterday, but my kids were on their way to school. We have a nanny that helps me with the drive-in, so she was driving them to school, and my middle kid gets car sick, kind of on the regular for longer trips. But it had been quite a while since she'd felt car sick, so I guess she was feeling overconfident and decided that she would maybe try to read a book, which turned out to be ill-advised because they got all the way to the school parking lot and she threw up in the car in the parking lot. So great. This would not be great under the best of circumstances, but now that it's COVID times, that meant that all my kids got to stay home from school yesterday until my daughter had a negative COVID test. Hooray. So hooray, her test was negative because we all knew she was car sick. But I didn't do any podcasting yesterday because we had remote 4th grade upstairs and Bananarama nursery and kindergarten day off in the rest of the house. So we're a little bit later than I expected. But that's no great shakes. Here we are. So let's jump right into it. I am wearing this sweater I bought, so this is not an interesting one, but I'm wearing the Shift Cowl by Andrea Mowrey. This I knit in 2019, I want to say. I used 3 colors and I actually was able to fish them out. They're Primrose Yarn Company Sport, and color A, which is at the top, is coming undone. Color A is Emerald Midnight, which is kind of this beautiful blackish green. Color B, which I didn't realize you see color B so much when you wear it. So the placement of color B actually turns out to be quite a bit of the cowl. So if you're planning on knitting this yourself, I would say put your favorite color in color B, because that's all here. You can see the most of B, and that is, again, Primrose Sport. Where is my mind? Haha. Indeed, where is it? And then my color C, which is way at the bottom here, is Tabloid Gossip, which is kind of this, it's coming up. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's like beigey with these flecks of pink in there, which were really fun to knit because every so often just one would pop in, and really exciting. So this is the Shift Cowl. I love it. It was my first go at mosaic knitting, which is super easy and I would recommend to anyone. It's just flipping stitches, following the pattern. I screwed it up a bunch. You change colors in a pattern, but at times it was hard for me to follow because I would forget to look down at the pattern and get going on a row and realize, like, whoops, I was doing the wrong color. But you really can't tell. That is the genius of this cowl. You just can't really tell. I mean, where did I screw it up? I don't know. Did I screw it up? So you knit it flat and then you seam it up in the back with mattress seam, and please don't judge because this is my first time doing mattress seam and it was not pretty. But you just seam it up the back, and the good thing is the seam is behind your neck, in the back of your neck, so you can't see it. Even if you do a botched job like I did, it's still okay. I think I made mine a little bit wide. I didn't swatch for it. So if I just throw it on, it's pretty floppy and like all the way in the front like this, which I kind of don't like. So I usually just fold it over in the back and kind of floof it up. And I wear this a ton under a jacket or just around the house. And then my family is like, what's that? Don't ask. It's my cowl. So that's the Shift Cowl by Andrea Mowrey. Highly recommend. Which I think you probably already know because everyone and their mother has knit this. So If you haven't, you definitely should. It's not even, these are not even my colors. I don't even usually go for variegated yarns, and I don't think I have anything green, but I just love it. And I wear it quite a bit, so I was pleased with that. And that is that. I have no finished objects because I used up all my finishing powers for the last episode when I did my no frill sweater and my Hisho shawl. So now I have all new projects, either new cast-ons or just sort of continuing whips. So let's just get to the whippery. My first whip, what I've spent most of my time on, there goes my yarn, is the Edie tee by Isabell Kraemer. And I cast this on not too long ago, and I think I've made some good progress. I'm gonna try to show this without slipping all my stitches. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Be gentle. Okay, so it's a V-neck. It's top-down raglan. And I think the last episode I was still working the V in the neck. And now I'm down, there's these textured stripes. I don't know if you can see, I've gotten through 2 of them. And then there's stockinette portions in the middle. And so I got through 2 stripes. She has you knit down to a certain length for the body. But based on the picture, if I can find my picture, where's my picture? Okay, here. Based on the picture on the front, which is really high tech, she has 6 stripes on the front. So I did 2, so I gotta figure maybe I'm like a quarter of the way down, not including the V. So I feel like it's going pretty fast. Even the textured stripes are really simple. It's just slipping stitches in various ways with the yarn either in front or in back. And so it's really, really easy. And even I feel like I've made my peace with the linen yarn. I'm knitting this out of Quinson Company Sparrow, which is 100% linen in the colorway Truffle. Okay, I'm gonna careful with the stitches. It is super slippy. That's why I'm really gentle. I stopped the V-neck. I joined in the round way earlier than she recommended, which is kind of hard to believe because I feel like I haven't tried it on because I'm too lazy to get a large cord for my circular needles so I can either wheedle my way in there or put half of them on a different circular so I can try it on. But even if I hold it up, I can't imagine you would want the V to be any deeper than that. My gauge is pretty good, so I don't know. I ended it, I want to say a full 10 rows sooner than the pattern recommends. There were some notes on Ravelry where people said it was just too wide or too deep, and so I always think V-necks are too deep because I'm a little bit of a pearl clutcher. So I figure, less is more. So I joined in the round much sooner, and I'm glad that I did. I think it'll be good. There's a optional neck treatment where you can pick up stitches around the neck and kind of knit a few rows. I haven't read it that closely because it's way at the end of the pattern and it's optional. But I think I might do that just to close it up a little bit more if it seems too wide when I try it on, which at this point looks like it's gonna be when I'm done with it because I'm too lazy. What else to say about this? Okay, so last time I noticed that my gauge for the V-neck section in particular is really wide. I don't know if you can see. There's like, this is really hard to show. It's just really kind of uneven, and some of my stitches are sort of giant and some of them aren't. And it's the same on this side. But then once I got into it, down in the stockinette part, it's really nice. Ooh, that doesn't look nice. But it evened out quite a bit. Like even before blocking, it's much closer to the gauge that I was getting on my swatch. And I don't know why that is. I think it's because for the V-neck, you're knitting flat. So, you're knitting in one direction and then you turn and you do a row of purls. And maybe my gauge on my purl rows is just, the two are not compatible, or they're just not the same. So it makes it look kind of jumbled up. And then once I joined in the round, it evened out and looks just a lot better. It's weird because I knit my swatch flat. So I don't know, like I said, my swatch looked good. I don't have it right here, but I also blocked my swatch. So maybe when I wash this, the jumbled up V-neck part will sort of smooth out and look not so janky. hopefully. I don't know. But for now, this is where I'm at. I think in the next couple of weeks I should finish with the body, because I love working on this. The linen yarn is really not bothering me anymore. It is super ropey, and there's just not a lot of give to it. It's I haven't knit with linen before, so I had heard that it's like this. It's kind of slippy, and it's just not at all like knitting with wool. There's just no give to it. So at first it was really hard to get used to, but you know, halfway through the body of a t-shirt, I feel like I sort of got it. So that is that. That's going well. And hopefully I'll finish it in time to wear it. I have a bad tendency of getting halfway through garments and then I don't finish them until the season is pretty much over. But I have high hopes for that one because it's kind of zooming right along. So my other whip is a new cast on, which is super exciting. I watch the Happee Knits podcast by Yolanda and Jordan. So this is a really awesome podcast, especially as a mom of boys, or a boy, mom of a boy. Yolanda and Jordan do the knitting podcast together, and he is, I think, 16. And my boy's only 10, but I feel like it's a little window in what's to come. And they're just awesome. So if you don't watch the Happee Knits podcast, it's a good one to check out. It is a feel-good podcast. So they're running a make-along, I think, because I think crochet sweaters are allowed as well. But it's a make-along through the month of July, or at least part of the month of July, for a cardigan. So I got so many good suggestions from you guys for kind of a mindless stockinette garment. And I ended up going with the Copenhagen Cardigan by PetiteKnit because I appear to have a secret project to knit every one of PetiteKnit's patterns. I've done the Sunday sweater and the no-frill sweater, and now I'm doing the Copenhagen Cardigan, but I just love the look of her garments. And so this is a really simple top-down raglan cardigan. There's some pockets. I don't know why people do their samples in such dark yarn. It's really hard to see. But there are 2 pockets in the front that are knitted, and then I think you somehow tack them to the inside. I might omit them. I don't know. It's kind of the only thing going for this cardigan, so I feel like I should probably attempt it. I'm gonna see how I feel once I get down there. But I cast it on. Here it is. It doesn't look like there's much to see, but I swear it took a long time. And it also looks really narrow. I don't know. I swatched and I got perfect gauge, so maybe it's just a really narrow color. Maybe. But it's really simple. It's raglan construction, and there's some short rows in the back, which I just got through. And then it's pretty much stockinette. You knit flat back and forth, and then separate for sleeves. Throw your sleeves on waist yarn, and there is no real button band. There's a line of ribbing. Oh, hello, end. There's a line of ribbing along each side, so it just runs all the way down. You can put afterthought buttonholes in. I don't even know what those are. There's instructions in the pattern for how to finagle a buttonhole. You don't knit it in. It's just, I think you just stretch out the stitch and then kind of bind it with your yarn. So the pattern recommends that you knit this with mohair held double with some kind of fingering. But I'm kind of over mohair sweaters. I knit the Sunday sweater and the no-frill sweater with fingering and mohair held double. Well, my Sunday sweater I think was bulky. But anyway, they both had mohair, and I love that, but I need one that doesn't have mohair. So I was trying to branch out. So I knit this one. Where's my yarn? Here it is. Okay. I knit this one out of Isabell Alpaca 2, which is 50% alpaca, 50% wool. This is a fingering weight. It's 250 meters for 50 grams. It's pretty light. It might be a light fingering. And then held double with Isabell Spinny, which is 100% wool. It's a single ply. And they're both in the colorway 40, which this is pretty close. It's kind of a pea green chartreusey color. I really like it. I don't have anything in that color, and I might end up looking like Night of the Walking Dead. I don't know, is this my color? But it seems springy to me, even though who wants to wear a wool cardigan in the spring? I would, I will, I'll do it if I can finish this in time for spring, which I'm not gonna do that. But I mean, in future springs, this would be a great spring cardigan, hopefully. So I'm making progress on that. I sort of cast on late. So I haven't been working on it for that many days, but it is kind of zooming along. At first I was worried because this is supposed to be my mindless knit, and it starts out with, once you finish the ribbing for the collar, you get right into the short rows, but you're supposed to do raglan increases at the same time as the short rows, which is a little bit, it was a challenge because you have a couple balls in the air, and I'm not a good juggler. So that was rough. It was fine, but I had to go back a couple times, and I don't think I spaced out my short rows exactly the way you were supposed to. I kind of got to the last one, and I was like, oh, whoops, there's supposed to be, there were too many. They weren't exact, but they were pretty close, and I can't tell. I mean, to me, it doesn't look messed up. It looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go with it. I didn't feel like ripping back. I think it's fine. I put in the number of short rows that you were supposed to have, so it's increased to the right depth. And if they're not spread out as much as they're supposed to be, I don't know what happened there. It's been a while since I knit my Magnolia cardigan. That's the only short rows that I tried. Oh, also that was another mohair sweater. So it's good. I like the wool. It's not superwash, so it's a little bit scratchy. It's not horribly scratchy. I mean, I wouldn't want to wear it with nothing underneath, but I think even if you wash it, I might be able to wear it. I mean, I wouldn't wear a cardigan with nothing underneath anyway, so it's kind of a moot point. But it's a little bit scratchier than some of my other things, but I think it'll work out just great. I like having a sweater that's not super fuzzy for once, so that's a nice change. So I got that going on. What else do I have going on? Look, you guys, I made notes. Okay, I got that. Okay, so some of you may remember that I had a really great New Year's plan to knit a pair of socks a month. Haha. So it's May, and I managed to complete 2 full pairs of socks, one for January, one for February, and then I have 1 more single sock for March. And then I had cast on my April socks in self-striping yarn, which I will show you. Self-striping yarn by Nomadic Yarns in the colorway Old Friend. And I love this yarn. It's a 6-color repeat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. 6-color repeat, and it's just really beautiful. I especially love how the green kind of fades in and out. I have this pink color, which is movers and makers for the heels and toes. So I had knit this. This is my first toe-up sock, and I was just using a pattern out of the MDK Wanderlust sock book. I think it was 57 stitches, and you just kind of go around, and then it was a wrap and turn heel, and I actually turned the heel. It's not there, spoiler. I turned the heel, and they came out giant. I mean, huge. Even though it was the smallest size, I have really tiny feet, and so I should have noticed that they were just way too big, but I didn't notice until it was too late. And so, true to form, I just stuffed it in a bag for a while and forgot about it until I really felt like dealing with it. So my way of dealing with this was just to rip back until before the heel, and I took the heel out because I didn't do that great of a job of turning the heel anyway. It was my first time doing wrap and turn, and there were some holes, and it just kind of looked uneven and not that great. So I ripped out the heel, and then I just decided I'm just gonna knit a straight tube and try to do an afterthought heel. Afterthought buttons, afterthought heel. It's gonna be like the season of the afterthought. I don't know how to do an afterthought heel. I've watched a bunch of tutorials about it, and one of the patterns I have, I think it's actually Cables and Coffee Socks, or Cables and Coffee Socks by Julia of the Happee Knitting Podcast. And she sort of explains how to, put your needle in and then cut your knitting and pick it up and do the heel. And it doesn't sound horrible. I don't know. People do it all the time, right? They crank those tubes on the sock machine, which, do you guys want a sock machine? I really want one. Why? I don't need an Erlbacher sock machine, but I really want one. That would be such a disaster. I would have 8,000 tubes of socks and no socks, no wearable socks, because I would be too lazy to put in the heels and toes. But I'm gonna knit this one into a tube, and then I don't know how long I'll go. These are turning out really long, because look how much I have left for the single sock. And I'm already, this is well past what I would need for the foot, because my feet, like I said, are super tiny. So I think that would be the foot. And they're already pretty tall. I don't know, I'm just gonna keep on going because I like the look of this. And if I end up with stripy knee socks, I guess I'm gonna end up with stripy knee socks. And at this rate, they're gonna be my July socks. And I'm gonna knit 3 total pairs of socks for the year as opposed to 12. I don't know. So stay tuned and we'll see if I can figure out the afterthought heel situation. Okay, I am also working on, I thought that this next whip was gonna be a finished object, and there really is no reason why that it isn't, except that I just didn't do it. So many moons ago, I cast on a cardigan for my daughter of car sickness fame. And it is I'm gonna get a picture of this because it's a charming picture. It is the Family Cardigan 8225 by Sirdar. And this is actually a great pattern. It has a shawl collar, a V-neck, a cardigan, a pullover. I'm doing the round, which one is it? The round crew neck here. Look how happy she looks. She's like, what a great sweater. Okay, so I'm doing this one. I'm knitting it out of Quince & Co. Chickadee, which is their sport in the colorway Sorbet, and that's the main color, and Leek, just for the bind off and cast on. So the only thing I have left on this, I just want to make sure I don't pull out my needle, because of course I still have a needle on there. I did all the knitting. You knit it in pieces, and it was just super quick. And I even sewed it together. I sewed my raglan seams much better than my shift cowl. Look at that pretty mattress stitch. Okay, and also on the back. So nice, so nice. See, I can learn. We can all get better. I picked up stitches for the collar, and I knit around, and then I bound off in the Leek colorway, which I think looks, cute. And then I picked up a million stitches for the button band, just so many stitches. It was actually quite a challenge to space them out. I used stitch markers and I divided it up like the nice ladies on YouTube showed me to do, but it still was really hard. I had to pull it out and do it a few times, but I think I got it. But this pattern, as opposed to the Copenhagen sweater, has you knit in the buttonholes by doing, what do? You just cast off a couple of stitches, and then in the next row you cast on a few stitches so that it makes this little hole. But mine are weird. Okay, so first of all, I don't think I spaced them out great, because I got to the bottom and I had kind of a larger section. Like, there's my first one, there's my second one, but then the distance from there to there is like not the same, I don't know, as from here to here. So I hope that's not a problem. Like, look at that, that's not good. So they're all spaced out like this. That looks good. But then when you get down to the last one, it's really low. But I figured my daughter only buttons the top 2 or 3. She's one of those kids. So hopefully you won't notice, because she's not really gonna button these. And the buttonholes themselves are like kind of wide. There, that's a good view. And there's like that string. I don't know, it's really stretched out there. I'm not super excited about that. Also, the buttons I bought are really way too tiny for this. So I bought these lime colored buttons, but they're like that far across. I thought there was gonna be tiny buttonholes. Nope. they're They're big. So I'm gonna have to try to get bigger lime buttons, which I don't know if you have looked for buttons, but looking for buttons on the internet is like such a needle in a haystack situation, because you could spend years of your life and just find almost the right thing 40 times and never quite exactly the thing. So I'm gonna work on that. And I think after the fact, I might be able to go in and kind of tighten up the buttonholes with some yarn or some embroidery thread. I don't know. I'm gonna have to fiddle around with that one. So knowing that, it's kind of made me not very excited to work on it. But all I have left to do is to bind off in the leek colorway on this button band, and then knit another one on the other side. Pick up all those stitches. I hate picking up stitches. I don't mind doing 6 or 7 under the arm of a sweater, but picking up 120 or whatever stitches it is to do this is just, it's a lot. It's a lot. It kind of makes me wish that I had cast on the Copenhagen sweater before I started that, because I would have just knit a button band like this, where you just knit in ribbing, and it's going in the same direction as you're knitting, where this one, the ribbing goes out, which I do think looks good, but I don't care about it that much. It's way easier. So I would have done that, but I didn't even know that existed. So next time, live and learn. Hopefully next time I see you, that will be a finished object, because otherwise my daughter is gonna be super, super mad at me. Because every time I pick up another project, she's like, did you finish my sweater yet? And I say, no, almost, I'm sorry. But I knit it a little bit too big for her. So by the time I really finish, I think it'll be spot on. So once again, my procrastination is unwittingly rewarded, which just makes me want to procrastinate on the next project. So I got that going on. My next project, this might be my last project. Let me look. Okay, yeah. Okay, my last whip. Okay, don't laugh. I'm showing you a swatch again. My last whip is for the Schneeflocken sweater. This time I'm not gonna show the pattern. Where's my pattern? Okay, the Schneeflocken sweater is by Sarah Solomon of Inch of the Wool. And it is gorgeous. It's a 2-color stranded colorwork project. Okay, this time for real, I'm not gonna show the pattern. This is the hem. So pretty. And so I swatched the hem chart. Okay, so I had started my swatch for the hem chart right before the last episode, and it looked really bad. I was trying to knit really loosely because I didn't want my color work to pull in and make the fabric pucker, but I think I had mixed up keeping my stitches spread out so that the floats were loose with just knitting really loosely. So my stitches were all floppy and uneven and misshapen and just really bad. So I ripped it out because I did like a quick measure before I even bound off, and my stitches were so giant and that I was not even close to gauge, and I was knitting already on a US size 2 needle. And I will do a lot of things, but I refuse to knit an entire adult size colorwork sweater on anything resembling a US 1. So I wasn't gonna go down a needle size at all. So I figured I'd better just get better at colorwork. So I ripped out the swatch and I cast on again. And this time I really tried to knit tighter while keeping my stitches spread out on the needle so the floats would not be so tight. And you guys, I think I did it. It looks really good. This is still a US 2 needle. My only problem is, and maybe you know how to fix this, you don't have to catch the floats too often because there aren't that many long stretches, but there are these ones at the top where the white is the background color. And you can see I caught the brown right there, and you can see it, which I really don't like. And I feel like I would like it even less on a sweater. It would be very irritating. So I don't know. I'm gonna look on the internet to see if I can figure out a way to get these floats not to show through, because the brown is such a darker color that I feel like even if I really loosen them up back there, there is some give. I mean, I can pull on them and loosen them up where I caught the floats. You can still see it. You can still see it. So I don't know. I'm actually contemplating just not catching the floats. There's only a few rows. If you look at this hem chart, there's only a few rows where there's those long floats. See right there? It's those little crosses at the top. I feel like maybe I just won't catch those, because I almost would rather not see the floats behind rather than worry about too much about snagging my sweater. I'm not gonna snag it. I'll be so gentle. I don't know. But the main problem is, and the reason I have not cast this on, is that I knit this on the US 2 and it came out too tight, which I took as a good sign, because usually it recommended a larger needle for the color work. I think it was a 3 or even a 4. But my stitches at first were so voluminous that I went down to a 2. But I almost just went up to a 3 and cast on without re-swatching. But then I chickened out. Also, I'm kind of in between sizes, so if I knit, I could knit using this gauge, but I'd have to knit a bigger size. And the idea of adding any more stitches to a colorwork sweater that's already gonna take me 5 years just seemed like a really bad idea. I mean, just because I was too lazy to knit another swatch. So I'm gonna re-swatch like a good knitter, and I'm gonna swatch in a US 3, and hopefully I'll get gauge. And then I'm supposed to swatch with stockinette. But I've already knit 2 swatches, you guys. And after I knit that other one, that'll be 3. I don't know. I think I'm gonna cast on, because you knit from the bottom up. So the hem is first. And then the stockinette portion is all in the middle. Let me see if I can find the pattern picture so that you can see. The stockinette portion is all in the middle. So I think I might just swatch for the stockinette portion when I get to it. And if I need to change needles, or maybe I'll just keep going, and if it looks like I need to change needle sizes because it's not working out right, maybe I'll just rip back those few rows and do it again. I don't know. I hate swatching. And I feel like I've already swatched so much, but I would hate to knit a whole colorwork sweater that's super hard and then not love it. So I don't know. To be continued. Oh, I'm knitting this in Brooklyn Tweed Loft, which is 100% wool fingering, 275 yards for 100 grams. This is the colorway Fossil and the colorway Pumpernickel. Oh, and I know one more thing. Okay, so last time I was disappointed because my swatch, the white bits at the bottom really were not popping, because the pattern recommends that you make the dark color the dominant color for colorwork purposes throughout the sweater. So that's how I did it at first. I held the dark color in my left hand, and it was not working at the bottom there. Like you just really couldn't see the white as much as I wanted to. So this second swatch that I did, I cast on, and when I did the color work in the bottom, I used the white as the dominant. And then kind of partway through the swatch, this is really hard to show. Right there, you can see where it switches over. So from whatever row that is, it's like 20 something, I swapped it out and I changed which color was dominant, and it totally worked. I think it looks great. Actually, maybe that's why my floats show through. I don't know. But I like that. I didn't like the floats showing through, but I like the way the color dominance looks. I'm paranoid about running out of yarn, even though I have a lot of yarn. So I didn't cut my swatch when I swatched in the round, because I'm worried I'm gonna have to unravel it yet again. Otherwise it would look much prettier. So we got that going on. So that is all my knitting. So the only other thing I've got going on this end that's at all yarn related is I accidentally fell down the rabbit hole of natural yarn dyeing on YouTube. Sometimes I get really taken in by the different paths that my life could have taken. And I watched these videos of these, you know, people farmsteading and making their own jam and tending their own sheep and, you know, spinning yarn and dyeing their own yarn with their plants that they grew themselves. And I think, like, yeah, I could own a farm in New England somewhere, and or on an island, and I could raise my own goats and shear them. Do you shear goats? I don't know. And spin some yarn and dye it. I could dye yarn even now. I could do that. And so I live in the city, you guys. Like, it's a good place for me. I don't even like camping. I enjoy indoor plumbing, and I don't know anything about livestock, and I really have no business doing any of this. I can barely make bread. I can make pizza dough. That's about it. But in any case, I watched this video, and there was this lovely woman who, I can't even link the video because I'm never going to find it again, but there was this lovely woman who was naturally dyeing yarn using avocado pits and peels. And I just thought, I eat avocados. I love yarn. I should do that. So I saved my avocado pits and peels, and I bought a ridiculous amount of bare yarn from Knit Picks. I don't even know. It was like Wool of the Andes and some kind of DK. I did not get the 15% bulk discount because that is ridiculous. I do not need to buy a bulk quantity of undyed yarn because I've never even dyed a single skein. So I exercised incredible restraint and only bought a few skeins that have not yet arrived. But I'm gonna try it. So in some episode yet to come, you can follow me on my ridiculous yarn dyeing journey and see how that goes. So based on my limited YouTube research, some people have managed to get a beautiful dusty pink, or even like a really deep, it's almost like a coral color from avocados, and some other folks get a really bleh shade of beigey brown. So knowing my luck, I will most likely end up with beigey brown Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. So stay tuned for that. I'm sure it's going to be a really good ride. But I'm interested to see how it comes out. I do love a good experiment, and it's just sciencey enough that it's kind of draws me in. And I feel like since it's not using acid dyes, I can get my kids involved. I can definitely stir avocado pits and peels in a pot. So stay tuned. I think that'll be a really fun one. I don't know that I'll get any usable yarn out of it, but Knit Picks is really cheap. So I can at least make a hat out of it. I mean, who doesn't want a beigey brown hat? I think that'll be great. All right, you guys, that's all I've got on my end. I hope your knitting's treating you well. And thank you so much for stopping by and saying hello and taking some time out of your day to check in and watch this video. I love hearing all the comments and seeing what you're up to. So if you want to drop me a line, either below the video or on Instagram, that would be great. And I will check in with you in a couple of weeks. Happy knitting. I don't really want them involved in, sprinkling toxic acid dye powder all over